All right. Welcome back to a lifetime of conversations. Hey, Rob.
Hi.
So last week we went to this pretty cool thing. It was at the Kravitz Center here in West Palm Beach,
Yeah, downtown West Palm Beach area.
and it was called The Infinite, an immersive experience, Space Explorer. Try to make it sound all fancy. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, now I'm gonna have you explain it because I've experienced, and it's funny because it was awesome, and I think what I enjoyed is that I got to enjoy it with other people, which is something that when you use VR, it's a very personal experience in the real world.
Right.
Like I go into a place in VR and there's 50 other people, but they're not there. They're only there in VR.
Right.
This experience was actually 30 other people that were not only in VR, not only in our space, but physically there.
Yeah.
That was, and watching the old people oh my God, that was so amazing.
Yeah, that was
I
pretty
loved
neat.
it. But yeah, so what was this? What did we do?
Okay, so basically it was a way for people on a terrestrial plane that we like to call Earth
The real world.
get an inside look of what it's like to be on the International Space Station. So on the inside of the International Space Station, they put cameras in several different locations and filmed the astronauts on their downtime performing acts and giving us a little bit of insight of what they go through on a day-to-day routine.
Yep.
So there are little orbs floating around. If you put your hands into the orbs, you become immersed in this brief experience with...
Yeah, it's basically a 360 video in VR, and each person gets a different video. Yeah, which was kind of cool. And I did like the idea that we could touch the same orb together and see the same video.
Yeah.
Which is special because it is VR tends to be a very personal experience because it's hard to cram another person into those goggles with you.
Right, exactly.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and it was kind of cool the way you see other people. Now they did this for anybody who understands VR. Normally, you need a certain amount of space. They did it in a very large space. I would say
It's a convention center.
yeah, so it's a quarter of a gymnasium size that people walk around, and it was I guess I'd say a blueprinted exoskeleton version of the space station as you walk through it. It wasn't detailed until you went into a video, and then it was nothing more than it was a video that you saw.
Yeah, you have an astronaut floating there, tethered to a station.
Right. Guys eating, guys explaining the toilet, guys doing. Some of them were just mundane. They're throwing a ball back and forth to each other, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was
You remember I
cool.
said when he threw the ball, I put my hand up to grab it. I spend so much time in VR, I'm already ready to get that thing when I'm like, oh, it's a video.
Yeah, and for nobody that's ever been in VR before, it's hard to explain, but your brain is now telling you you are in a different place.
Yeah, it's conflicting.
Yeah.
To some people, yes, it does go away. I like when we would walk past people. You see, you get closer to real people, and you see this silhouette of their body. Right, only it's always the upper torso, and you can see how some of them were holding on to each other for dear life, thinking they're gonna fall
Off
down
the
a hole
yeah,
or space that's not there.
Yeah.
Your feet are on the ground. They will always be on the ground. Kravitz Center didn't put a hole for you to fall into with their expensive equipment.
But your mind does play tricks on you.
It does. And it's funny because I'm so used to it. It is a switch. I've learned that once I put them on, there's some switch in my brain that says VR. And it automatically, just,
But you weren't born
I
with that
adapt.
switch. Your brain had to create that
Yes,
switch
yes.
as a self-defense mechanism
right. Or
to
whatever.
protect you from running into a wall.
Yes. Yes.
Going insane. Who knows what?
Yeah, doesn't. Well, I mean, or whatever. Just, But my wife, when she put them on one day, I put her in this place, and some stuff in VR, that one was good, okay. But I've been in stuff that, like I explained, you can download the ISS app for the Oculus, and you're actually in it, and you turn, and you're in complete YX access like you were in space, but it is incredibly nauseating to me. I got stupid vertigo the first 5 minutes because up in space, there is no up, down, left, or right. No. It is just what it is. But on Earth, there's always an up, down, left, or right. So when you take both and flip them, I had problems with it. Now, there are some people that doesn't affect at all. Some people it only mildly affects. Some people I've talked to who played the games I play on VR that they wear like nausea medicine, those patches that they put, or they take Dramamine and shit, just so that they can handle the vertigo. And I'm like, I just don't play those ones. You know, you find ones that adapt.
Yeah, my mom used to get vertigo, so I had to save the Dramamine from my Mamamine. Poor thing. Yeah. And then there were times where you're outside of the International Space Station, looking at Earth from afar. I mean, you just look right in front of you and you see all the modules and all the solar panels,
and you could do the same thing on YouTube, right? But personally, asking you, did it change the experience being able to see it in that like first person view? And, like it's 360, so if I turn around, I see whatever's behind me. Like that's something that you can do it on YouTube with a 360 by turning the screen. It doesn't have the same effect because you still see your table, your dog, your window. Right. When you're in VR, the immersiveness can. What I like is that I like when regular people I had that exact headset that we were using, like literally at home right now. My kid's probably using it. Right. The idea that people who know it exists but have never experienced it, that's what I really liked. I liked that couple that came out when we were done, and she was like, that was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. And I'm like, wow, you gotta get out.
Go to Best Buy
and you know what? You'd say you gotta get out, but that's wrong. You have to get in.
Get in.
Right?
Well, stay home and get in.
Yeah. It's cool.
No, it's definitely needed. And the spacewalk at the end, I mean, you walk into this room and you see a chair. The chair is in VR, but it's showing you a chair in real life.
It's also a chair. And this is the difference between real-world placement. There are some games that adapt. They use your environment, especially now with the new Oculus. Like, there's a game where you can use it in your house, and it records your house, right, as a door, a window. And the game, that would be the version of AR. That's augmented reality layered over virtual reality. So the idea that they implant virtual into your real world. So they use a small percentage of it. Yeah, you get in the chair and then...
Well, what if your door's halfway open? Do you walk right into it and split your head open?
No, the door is halfway open.
Oh, okay.
You see it as it is, but they implant... let's say you're fighting zombies or you're looking for Pokemon. Like remember how that's a version of Pokemon Go was AR. It was like, in the real world, I went to this park, and in this park, there's a Pokemon. Is the Pokemon really there? No. But they augmented it into your space.
But these two drunk idiots are fighting over it.
Sure, yeah. And there's the lady in the middle of traffic and stuff. But it was really good. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I got to see I'm glad other people experienced this because I've been in awe for now the last 4 years. I've had the first Oculus. As soon as it became affordable to anybody normal, I went out and bought it because I've been waiting this since Lawnmower Man. Do you remember Lawnmower Man?
The movie?
Yes. It was like our first rendition of virtual reality, and there were obviously other ones, but
I was reluctant to watch it. After landscaping with your dad all day, the last thing I wanted to do was go home and watch fucking Lawnmower Man.
It wasn't exactly what you thought it was.
I'm Lawnmower Man. God damn it.
And plus, you don't get the smell of fresh cut grass.
What's the sequel? Weed Whacker Man meets Blower Boy.
We would blow laughs, so that would be the third one.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, but that was where as soon as it was available, I bought it. And when you got into it, you're like, it was very rudimentary, and it technically still is very rudimentary. But people don't realize what it takes to build these things. Like you need a computer hooked up to a VR to get the real good experiences, but they can be life-changing. Like, I can see how when they say astronauts go to space and they look out that window and they see Earth and it's life-changing, you can understand that as best as we're going to get because we're not going to space. Right. But when you see the Earth, and when I got to turn around and see the Dragon capsule docked to the ISS, I was like, I did. I got shivers now just thinking about it because that to me, watching everything the SpaceX has ever done, seeing the Dragon capsule docked there is to me monumentous. You know, like in the idea that I was right there. I could have reached out, wanted to reach out and touch it.
Elon Musk would be like, no, that's it. Just no. He's not much for words.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I like to think it's not like it's new. Like we've been broadcasting the ISS for 15 years.
Yeah.
Even when we had cable and television, you could still watch the ISS on TV.
24/7.
Right, like you could just watch them all day, and there are times I do. I like watching them do stuff because it's fucking fascinating. It's amazing that we adapted in 20 years to work in microgravity. It's an accomplishment that most people write off, or as it becomes mundane. Or this is why the flat earthers and the bullshit kind of stuff, where like the moon landing wasn't real, that kind of stuff is infuriating when you see the things that we're doing, and it's like, you're delusional. You're stuck in a box, and even if that box was the universe, it's still bigger than we think.
Yeah.
Even the universe expands. The box gets bigger. You got to get bigger with it.
Yeah, I mean, someday people are only going to know that stars are there because they're in books.
What do you mean? Wait, what?
The stars are traveling away from us so fast
right,
that they're going to go away.
The distance, the really distance. That's why we can't study that stuff.
Yeah.
That's, again, when we talked about, like when people always talk about black holes and the origins of the universe and explaining everything. I think, to me, it's too big. It's too much. Like, I don't care. Like, I get it. I'll watch some stuff about it. But when they put so much into it, it's like, realistically, tell us about the moons of Saturn, because they're there.
Right.
They're not distantly
can see
going
them.
away, right? So, like, let's focus on that. But I understand how there's a whole domino effect of understanding everything from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, I want to know more.
But we're always going to want to know more.
Yeah.
But the idea that these people could experience it was fun.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I was kind of sidelong listening to people's conversations as we were walking by, because they put headphones on you. But if you pull one up, you can kind of hear, and the things people say, I think, is the best part. They're just like, oh my God, I didn't know that. And you think nowadays that it should be just like general knowledge about certain things, but people are way more ignorant about the things they don't particularly care about.
Yeah, I'm more and more surprised every day how much people don't know about stuff.
Yeah, but what do we consider general knowledge? It's kind of like...
Do you know the funny thing about it? That there's so much to know now, and every day there's more to know about certain things that you like.
Right.
So something that I might like, I know a whole lot about it, and the fact that you don't know about it might blow my mind.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of like to think that I know enough about enough things where I could pretty much talk to anybody from any walk of life and not look like a complete idiot.
Sure.
And if I know I'm a complete idiot in that field, I'll know right away, and I'll keep my mouth shut and maybe try to ask a couple of questions.
Maybe learn something.
Yeah, learn something.
Right? If you're not talking about it, you're listening about it.
Yeah.
At that point, because then at least the next time you talk about it, you have more information
Right.
than it would be the first time.
Yeah, some
No, I
people don't
agree.
get that. Some people don't get
But
that.
then again, that's why I'm always I'm pretty upfront about surface level knowledge. I have very little intricate knowledge about many things, but I have a lot of surface level knowledge about a lot of things. And because it takes time what does it take to be an expert?
10,000 hours.
Right? What they say now that's of course a roundabout number, because some people learn quicker, some people learn slower, some people are just never going to be good at it, right? And that's okay, because there's something out there that you just haven't found it yet. But yeah, so who has that kind of energy? I can almost say that I was
Kids.
really close to being an expert at firearms training and teaching at a basic level, but I didn't have the kind of training that military guys and paramilitary and police get, because we didn't have that kind of training. But you can say you do something long enough and you're gonna get good.
But I mean,
Good, damn it.
I think that what you went through and what somebody in the military went through, I mean, some of those guys, I mean, not to talk shit, but some of them, that they're really not that bright.
But they're really good at whatever they were trained at. That's my point. Is that they have a much more greater knowledge about
The
this,
elite
but
team,
their
the elite
service-
teams do.
No, I think certain okay.
I mean, that this kind of
Talking grunts or the guy who works the kitchen.
No,
sure.
I'm talking about like cops on YouTube that go to a classroom and shoot themselves in the leg.
No, but that's the anomaly. They're
I mean, you would kind of hope that you would
probably
do
why
something
he
like
wasn't a cop anymore.
he was like a DEA
But,
agent. Or
that's a good
something.
example. The cook on like a Navy ship. That's not fucking easy. You have to cook for like 300, 500 people every day. Massive amounts of food, and you have to get the ratios right. And plus, you got to make it taste relatively good.
Yeah.
It can't always be ketchup on eggs.
I know. I mean, if you're in the Navy on a submarine
Yeah.
and you cook food that these guys don't like, you're going to be covered in semen in like a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, a seaman is a colloquial term for a person enlisted in the Navy. Sarge,
it is
Sarge,
it is
get
thi-
these seamen off of me.
Here's a towel, son.
Go wipe yourself off.
It is this
Put
man's
yourself
army.
back together, young man. You
Yeah.
disgust me.
But yeah, I did, and the views were really good. Yeah, they showed you the camera. They used this. Basically, it's a 3D. It's a three-dimensional. It's a 360
Yeah.
camera. It's a camera with cameras on all sides of it, and they strap it to the arm of the ISS, or they carry it around and they take pictures. But this is what I was trying to explain to you.
It's not the only strap-on they have in that ISS.
No,
I guarantee you.
It's just they gotta keep that strapped in so that it doesn't float around.
You imagine one of those just floating
It's
past
on
your face.
the magnet or the Velcro. Like we were talking about that, how the guy just put the tool down and it stayed there.
Yeah.
You know, there's someone going, you see, it's fake. It just stayed there. I'm like, it's a magnet.
Yeah.
You fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It's metal. That's a magnet. Magnetism still works in space.
Yeah.
And even if they don't, they use
After
a lot
a
of
wrench,
Velcro.
after a wrench floats away twice, somebody's like, "Hey, maybe we should put a magnet on this
Right.
desk." It takes 2 times.
Right.
It's not like 10 years later, someone's like, "Guys, I just had an idea."
And plus, I don't know, Velcro was created by NASA.
Yeah,
Right? And now we all have it, and old people wear their shoes with it. And it is one of the most versatile, ubiquitous things
Yeah.
on the planet. Yet it was developed to stop wrenches from floating around in space. And then they were like, well, we could use magnets too. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that too.
Right.
You know, for things that, because certain electronics can't have too many magnets around, right? That's probably still a thing.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Especially when the ISS was built. You're talking about. I mean, when you looked in there, what was your first thought of seeing? Even when you look at the ISS, what do you see?
I don't know, a big satellite dish.
No, the inside. Like when you see these people working, because like every wall has something. So the ceiling has a computer.
Yeah, it
and
looks like a big
station,
computer
right?
server.
The left side has consoles. Like every part of it is used.
Yeah, 'cause you're not
again,
walking
There
on
is no
anything.
up or down. Right. If I'm upside down, or what we would consider upside down, there is no upside down.
Yeah.
But what does it look like? Because to me, it looks like a hoarder's garage.
Oh God, yeah.
It looks messy.
Yeah.
And discombobulated, and there's wires everywhere, and things running and computers and stuff. And it looks crazy that it works.
Yeah,
It
it
really
does.
does. I can't. Now you see like their plans for new space stations, because nowadays it's going to be a lot of commercial. And when they build the next ones, they're not going to look like that. They're going to look sort of like Teslas.
Yeah.
You ever see the inside of a Tesla? There's no buttons, there's no wires, there's no stuff sticking out. It's a screen. It's very clean and pleasant and easy to clean, because they talked about they had astronauts interviewing to help commercial industry build new space stations, and they're like, we want to build this hotel one and this unit for people to go up, really rich people to spend some time in space. And then we had these beautiful handrails, and they're like, but then we got to clean all those handrails.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, we never thought of that. You know how hard it is to clean stuff in space? And they're like, oh yeah, we didn't think of that. But this
Yeah.
is why you fucking
Yeah,
ask
you go to clean the guardrail and then you
Right.
go shooting forward.
Well, no, not so much that, but fingerprints, oils.
Yeah.
you
But
know,
even cleaning it,
bacterias, all
you
that.
push to clean it and then
Well,
you
you
go.
could hold on, obviously,
Yeah, but
but
that's
then
a pain
you
in
still,
the ass.
Again, it was, to me, it was just a mundane thing to go. No one ever thought of that, because you've never been in space
Yeah.
and had to clean a handrail, because you guys have housekeeping to do that, right? You're gonna send housekeeping up there. Who's gonna clean it? Right? There has to be
Maybe
maintenance
housekeeping.
workers, so
yeah,
someone,
like
a
Miss,
maintenance
yeah,
astronaut?
Mr. and Mrs. Wentworth floating around in their room in space. Housekeeping.
Yeah, like the do not disturb is never gonna stay. It's gonna be.
You see
floating
the
around.
maid. You see the maid floating around with a little feather duster. With a little vacuum.
I got a crazy cartoon picture in my head of that,
Yeah, right.
With the outfit and everything.
Yeah, you with the maid outfit.
But yeah, I mean, it always just looks like some crazy person's garage,
Yeah,
and you can't knock them, because it is what it
it
is.
is what it is. This always reminds me of this one Seinfeld episode where Jerry's dad's friend had this pen, and he's so proud of his
space pen?
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
writes
God.
in space. It can write upside down, this and that. So he gave the pen to Jerry, and Jerry's so proud. And then the Russian is like, in Russia we use pencil.
Yeah, yeah, and they still do.
Yeah, of
which
course.
is crazy. With the cosmonauts, they use pencils, and you're going, well, that just solved the pen problem.
Yeah.
right. Because there's only 4 people up there, let's say on that side, or 2 people. They're less inclined to erase and make a mistake. You're like,
There is no erasers on the pencils.
just use the right, because at that point, then it would cause little particles
Little
to float
people,
around.
yeah.
Right? Yeah. So again, there's always a simple explanation. You want to get all technical.
You'll never see this.
We just use pencil. Yeah, that's great.
Idiot.
And then all of a sudden, the pen is pretty fucking worthless, right?
Yeah.
They sold those pens and they were garbage and they didn't work.
Well, they worked in space better.
No, but yeah, again, with gravity, you tried writing upside down, it didn't work.
No.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you need to write upside down again? And a lot of places, even like people that work in small spaces or maintenance guys and construction guys, they use the wax pens or the oil pens,
yeah.
right? Because that's a pencil, oil pencil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the grease pencils. Yeah.
But yeah, grease pencil. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, I've used them.
But yeah. So it was a good experience. It was a good experience. Sadly enough, too, the ISS is going to be decommissioned in 2030.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 2030 or 2035. Doesn't matter. It's pretty long time away. Long enough where
Yeah,
we're
that's
still
right.
going to
We
do
were
lots of
talking
great
about
stuff.
how they should bring it back and put it back together here
No.
instead of crashing
First
it
of
into
all,
the
that's
water.
impossible, right? It's not impossible, but it's so improbable that it cost almost $1 trillion to build it. It would cost almost $1 trillion to bring it back. Now, realistically, if you were going to say something like that, what I would think is what I've heard them talk about is they should push it into a higher orbit so that it's like a museum.
Yeah.
Right. We don't go to it. We don't do anything. It just stays
Just
up
leave
in a
it there
higher-
until we figure out what to do with
Until
it.
we can, our technology improves to the point of maybe doing something with it.
Yeah.
Right now, we couldn't for the next 50 to 100 years. There's no way we're going to get that thing back.
Right.
Now, they have talked about splitting it up, taking parts of it.
Would it survive through the atmosphere?
No,
It would blow
they
up.
said
It would burn up.
most of it, but and of course, in something of that magnitude of entering the atmosphere, they're going to obviously be very careful about where it lands, and of course, they're going to throw it in the ocean because that's what we all do. We just throw shit.
Yeah, just throw
We sweep it
trash
under the
in
rug,
ocean,
right?
yeah.
But it's also better than landing on land.
What, in the middle of the desert?
But how can you actually? You can't. Okay, if you miss a small spot on the ocean, there's plenty more ocean. If you miss a small spot on
There's
land,
pretty big deserts.
I know, but even then, the impact, the local wildlife.
Hey,
ecology,
as long as it doesn't hurt me.
What if there's chemicals?
I'm sure that.
There's a lot, right? So,
So we
you
put
throw
the
in
chemicals in the ocean.
I know. It's not.
Do you know it landed on Antarctica?
Oh, right. Because we don't allow people to go there. We're going to crash this spaceship onto Antarctica. And what if it blows up and melts more ice caps or creates
It'll
a huge
refreeze.
crevice or destroys?
It's ice cold
They're
there.
never going to put it on land anyway. The biggest piece they
Of course,
said would
because
be
they don't listen to me.
if
Idiots.
that's why they ask an astronaut.
Yeah, how many fish are we going to kill?
They said the biggest piece would be something like the size of an SUV, and the smallest piece could be like the size of a bowling ball. But most of everything else is projected to burn up in the atmosphere. But I know I do. You kind of think like $1 trillion, and we definitely made our money back. It's like when you buy a product and you're like, I paid this much, but then it breaks 10 years later, and you're like, yeah, but I use this a lot. Like when you feel like you got use out of it, you're okay with it going away.
Well, couldn't they just shoot it into deep space and it'll just be gone forever and ever and ever?
But why?
Why crash it into the ocean and
But
put
then-
chemicals and poison into the water?
Yeah, I don't. Well, because they don't want. Okay, it's in a pretty stable. I think it's somewhat above low. Like the low.
Yeah, lower Earth
Yeah, it's not. It's not. I don't know. Maybe it is in mid, but it's. You can't. You can't leave it there because we put up hundreds of satellites a year, thousands, if anything, nowadays. Too much up there.
But I'm saying no, it would be gone forever. It would go into. It would
know,
be
but
going
what if-
past
yeah.
Jupiter and into the deep space.
And plus, that would take an insane amount of retro rockets. I don't know.
No. Oh, just. There it goes.
I don't know. That is a pretty good.
And it just
question.
keeps moving.
But
All you
then
have to do is push
who
it
are
with
we
your
to
index
litter-
finger.
Who are we to litter the space with our giant football-sized stadium?
So who
and
would
what?
it-
Okay, and then I'm sure there's somebody out there going, "What if aliens get a hold of it and all of our tech's on there?"
Oh, I'm sure they're. Yeah.
I'm
That's like giving Albert Einstein an abacus and being afraid.
yeah, but you don't know, and I'm sure that's part of someone's reasoning somewhere. But that is a good question, though. I've
okay,
never
so,
heard
well,
anybody
well,
actually. They
we'll just
talked
poison
about
the
how
Earth
it
with
would
it.
come down.
That's
They
a better
talked about
idea.
how they would want to put it into a higher orbit to, let's say, preserve it. But no one ever mentioned like,
Push it out into space.
yeah. I guess then they'd
Space
have
is
to
so
track
big,
it.
it would be
I
like
mean,
a grain of sand.
Musk did it with his fucking Tesla. I mean,
Yeah.
actually, I think it recently, within the last year or two, just passed the sun, or it's supposed to go into the sun. But I don't know. That is a pretty good. I might have to look that one up.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good question.
that-
I just thought to bring it up that it's a sad thing that we are going to live in our lifetime. We lived a lifetime of the creation of the ISS to the end of the ISS. I think that's rare. Like, there are plenty of people that were either born after or before or died before or, these things happen.
It's giving me IBS.
So, I mean, all right, let's rate it. So, we're going to rate the Kravitz Center experience out of 10.
I don't have anything to rate it against.
I know. I mean, I could, but I'd be biased. My ratings is biased, so.
And my rating would be like,
I'll give it a
compared to
7.
actually being in space, I'd give it a 5.
I mean, it was a lot warmer. I didn't have to wear that stupid suit. I give it a 7 out of 10 for a general public type of experience. Like, it was relatively pretty inexpensive. It was maybe $50 a person, 45 minutes to an hour. It was informative. People were very nice. I mean, they didn't know they were just jockey workers. They were headset jockeys. That's what I like to call them.
Basically.
But the system worked. It connected well. There wasn't any lag. There wasn't any hiccups when it comes to the technology part of it. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
I concur.
Again, my experience is biased because I've experienced way better playing Echo in VR. That game where you were in the space station and it was like a sport game where you threw the disc through the.
Oh yeah.
That was way more immersive and way more exciting than anything like that. And that was a stupid game.
Yeah.
But the idea is that there's a lot more to do. I'd like to see where it'll go. Like, what's the next thing we'll do? I mean, we're already actually, they're, August 20, I want to say the 27th or the 25th or something. They're launching the second SpaceX capsule that is completely manned by people. Remember the first one that went up? Jared Averson? I forget the guy's name. Yeah, Jared something. He's a billionaire. He funded it. It's all him. They're going to do the first civilian spacewalk ever with SpaceX suits and SpaceX, their engineers and pilots. None of them are like employed by the government, NASA, nothing. They're just normal people.
Cool.
Have a lot of money. And they're going to go as far as, like, they're going to break a record of distance with the Dragon capsule. And they're going to leave the capsule and do a spacewalk. The only people that spacewalk are astronauts.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's cosmonauts, Jacksonauts, astronauts. They're only astronauts. So this is where people have to understand. It was like who is the guy who went to the Mariana Trench, the famous director?
Oh
is his
God,
name?
no,
Damn it.
yeah,
James Cameron.
James,
right?
yeah, no, James. He went to the Titanic.
Oh, yeah, but he also went to the trench.
Did he?
He built his own submarine and went to the deepest part of the ocean, and no one has ever done this. And
that's
this
news
guy
to
just
me.
made movies, right? So, like him going to the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of our fucking Earth, these people are going to go to the furthest point of our reach of space.
Oh, they'll show him.
Yeah. It's great. I think those types of things, when we talk about historic, the word means different things to a lot of people. Like you can look at bad historic, good historic. History doesn't judge. It just is, right? And it's also written by the victors, so we can't.
Yeah, of course. Like
go
the
too far into it, but-
like the Italian explorer Giuseppe Verdi. He went to the Marinara Trench.
I didn't see that coming.
Neither
Son of
did
a
he.
bitch. Hey, I take offense to that.
Hey, Luigi, it's so dark. I cannot see nothing. Throw me a fireball.
Was that to the meatball? So I'm sorry for the Italians out there. Fuck it, I'm Italian. I can do that.
Yeah.
No, I'm an American. Sorry.
Me too.
I'm an American Italian. We used to be considered Italian Americans, and now it's like you go enough generations in, you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm just an American.
Yeah,
that's
my
okay.
great
It doesn't matter.
grandparents
You
were
went too many
from
greats.
yeah,
Like you
two.
passed it. Now we're American.
Actually no. My great grandparents were from. Well, my mom's grandfather was from Italy.
Right. My great. That was the same thing with me. So too many greats. Even when it comes to my kid, too many generations.
Not so great.
But either way. So there you have it, folks. I mean, if you get a chance, I know that they're doing it on tour. So I mean, they mentioned they were going to San Francisco. They were going all around the United States with this Infinity program. If you get a chance and you see it in a local center by you, check it out because it's definitely worth it, especially if you've never experienced any VR at all, and or you have never watched a video of the ISS or astronauts actually doing amazing fucking things.
Yeah,
in
you'll be
space.
blown away.
Yeah, or at least it would be an experience that would be worth talking about. So
And if you get seasickness, don't eat before you go.
yeah, I don't think that's an issue. Again,
Not for me.
it didn't. We never moved y-axis. We never vertically
No,
moved
we didn't
in
move.
any way. It was pretty standardized. Were you watching people? Like there were people you can see the headset looking down at their feet because you were walking on blackness, right? You're still just walking, right? And you can't bump into somebody else because they show up as a glow or an orb or an avatar. But yet there are still people walking like baby steps.
Yeah.
Tiny little baby steps. And with me, I'm like, we're going to go over there. And I just go over there. But what if I hit the wall? It's not a wall.
Yeah, but it's thousands of years of DNA protecting themselves from not walking into a
falling
wall.
off a cliff. You know,
Yeah.
but there's a hole. Like there's not a hole. The hole's not there. I wish I had it on video of when Marlene tried to lean on that table.
Oh man.
I had her in somewhere, and me and my daughter were sitting there, and she literally put her full body weight to put her hand on a table that didn't exist, and she fell into the garbage in our porch in Pennsylvania, and it was
Into the
funniest-
real garbage.
the real garbage, and I grabbed her as fast as I didn't think she was gonna do that. Like I never saw anybody actually do that, and I'm like, it's not real. It's not there.
Yeah, I know that now.
I know, right? But you
I'm covered in garbage, asshole. I know the table's not real.
I can't. It was one of the funniest things ever. So just be prepared.
Do you know the table not real? I bet that thought crossed her mind in between the hand on the table and the ass in the trash.
Right. You know when you start
Halfway
falling.
through, you're like, oh
You know when you
shit,
miss
it wasn't
something.
there.
You know, like grab for something and you miss it, and that sheer panic sets in for that brief moment. That I have to change my tactic now. I have to put my hands on.
I have to fight gravity. Oh, I can't.
Yeah. Wait, that didn't exist.
I lose every time. All right.
So there you have it, folks. We hope you enjoyed our little adventure to infinity and beyond. I wonder if I didn't want to use it because I thought it was kind of cheeky, but
And it might be copyrighted.
they named it Infinity. But
Okay, yeah, to infinity and beyond.
So all right, everybody, thanks for listening to a lifetime of conversation, and we will check you next time.
Peace out and space out.